In my experience, everyone wants to have a big quarter in sales, but not many people actually put together a particularly pointed plan. Like everyone has a number that they're looking to hit and some revenue that revenue targets that they would ideally like to get to. But not many people are really looking at a more pointed plan on how to get there.
Welcome to the Master Dealmaker's Secrets podcast. And now, here's sales growth strategist, John Blake.
Welcome to Master Dealmaker's Secrets. I'm John Blake. This is episode 215. And today we are going to be talking about the 8 key elements to planning an insanely successful quarter of sales. So I'm excited to be sharing today's strategies with you. But before we do that, if you have got leads that you've spoken to that haven't converted yet into paying clients, and you're not quite sure what the status is of those offers that you've made, I want you to head over to johnblakeaudio.com. What you'll get there is my training, the exact strategy that I implement, that I install with my clients to help them to convert those outstanding people that have been spoken to, that have been made an offer, but they haven't actually converted into a paying client. What you'll get is a 15-minute audio that gets straight to the point. It's exactly what to do. Most importantly, what to say when you call them, what to say if you get voicemail, what to write in your emails, and when to email and when to call over a 90-day period. If you put this into practice, you will see extra sales this quarter, even if you don't implement what we're talking about today. So it's at johnblakeaudio.com. Go grab it, put it into practice, and let me know how you go with it. Okay, cool. So we're going to talk about the 8 key elements to planning an insanely successful quarter of sales. So planning is something that isn't, in my experience, everyone wants to have a big quarter in sales, but not many people actually put together a particularly pointed plan. Like everyone has a number that they're looking to hit and some revenue that revenue targets that they would ideally like to get to. But not many people are really looking at a more pointed plan on how to get there. And so today I want to give you 8 elements, 8 keys that if you were to look at these things at perhaps the tail end of the previous quarter and use them to plan your next quarter's growth, I think you will find that it will make a massive difference. It certainly has in the clients that I've worked through this particular system with. So number 1, not surprisingly, set clear objectives. So set clear objectives, revenue, milestones, and timelines. So what revenue do you want? By when? In terms of timing, do you want to have achieved those particular numbers? And what are the milestones? And having clear metrics around inputs is actually as if not more important than the actual revenue targets, because we can all pick a revenue target out of the sky, but you can't actually manage a revenue target. All you can manage are the inputs that underpin that particular revenue target. And by inputs, I mean, how many calls did we make? How many conversations did we have? How many appointments did we make? How many offers did we make? And how many sales did we make? So the amount of sales that you make will obviously determine the amount of revenue that you have created as part of that quarter. But the revenue itself can't actually be managed. The only thing that you can manage are the inputs. And so the inputs are the sales, the appointments, the offers, and we need to have an understanding. We need to have a realistic understanding of how many conversations it's going to take to have how many calls we're going to have to make to have how many conversations, to make how many appointments, to make how many offers, which will determine how many sales. And obviously this is where your metrics around conversions from each one of those particular stages comes in. But if you've been doing something often enough, there will be a pattern there, and we can use that pattern to plan. So to recap, step 1, set clear objectives, revenue, milestones, and timelines. Step 2, understand metrics around inputs, calls, appointments, offers, and sales. The third element is have target markets in mind. So who are we going to target? Because that will make the planning and certainly the messaging easier if we've got some specific verticals that we are looking for, specific industry types that we're going after, or perhaps particular segments of our database that we're looking to target. And obviously the ones that have got the highest likelihood. So they might be people that we've not spoken to in 6 months or 12 months, or it could be a particular type of client that we work for, that we want to go after, that we want to target. So that's step number 3. Step number 4 is have written and verbal communication strategy for the successful deployment. So what do the conversations sound like? Let's look at those language frameworks. What are we, especially what is the offer? What is the offer, which is actually the 5th element, having a high converting, no-brainer offer. So we need to have messaging around how we're actually going to get in front of these people, how we're going to get the attention of these people. And that messaging will be verbal messaging and it will be written messaging, because so much of the messaging, so much of sales these days is in text form. So we need to have all of those things planned out and put together before we actually press go on our strategy. As I said, key number 5 is having a high converting, no-brainer offer. Key number 6 is identifying the potential blockages. So often one of the best questions that you can ask, even though it sounds negative, is, so let's say we get to 90 days and this has failed. Why did it fail? And it's such a powerful question to ask, because it forces you to look at what it is that might go wrong. And if we can mitigate that up front, then that can be a really massive step toward the project, the plan, going as well as what it possibly can. Key number 7, have meeting cadence, accountabilities, and reportables. So let's work out how often we're going to catch up and track progress, who is going to be accountable for doing what, and what are the reportables? What are the reporting channels? What is our dashboard that shows us how many calls have been made, how many conversations have been had, how many appointments, how many offers, and how many sales, and what's that translating into revenue? And through that we can look at all of the conversion rates that sit at each step of the process. And then key number 8 is to debrief. So at the end of the month, go, okay, what went well? What didn't go well? What can we learn from that? And what can we do different next time? So I hope that helps, because, like I said, everyone wants to have a good quarter, but not that many people plan for it. So I hope those 8 keys are useful and that they're helpful for you when you're planning your next quarterly growth target. As always, thank you for listening, and I will talk to you on the next podcast. Cheers.
You've been listening to Master Dealmaker Secrets with John Blake. Subscribe to get more in-depth strategies and maximize your sales process with new episodes every other week. And double your inquiry to sale conversion with the lead flow you already have. Go to johnblakeaudio.com for his exclusive, free, no-fluff audio training and companion PDF guide.